What's going on, friends and fellow paramotor enthusiasts? We're back for a special night edition of Reacting to Crash Videos. In this episode, we have 3 crash videos to investigate, 2 of which I think are going to be exclusives to this channel. They were submitted by you guys, so special thanks to you guys for doing that. Before we dive into this episode, I want to thank today's sponsor, myself, aka Risky Biscuits Co. Recently at Risky Biscuits Co., we launched 2 brand new designs, both available as t-shirts and sticker decals, and we also launched the exclusive run of blueprint posters. I actually have the Fly Low Don't Die t-shirt on right now. Check that t-shirt out. That is a nice t-shirt, let me tell you what. We're also doing this thing where we're putting GoPro 9s in random orders. We've already given out one of them. This one is gonna go in a random order right now. I actually haven't filmed the clip yet, so fast forward to that clip. All right, so the video is completely edited. All that's left is this gap for the actual GoPro 9 drawing. Let's pull up our official number generator once again. We will press the magical button, and the number is 19425. Congratulations, Michael Leonard from Raleigh, North Carolina. This very GoPro 9 will be going in your order. So congratulations. If you didn't win, we have another GoPro 9 that we're actually gonna be giving away in a random order between this video and the next video. It's because of your guys' support that these episodes are possible. So look at it this way. If you purchase merch now, you're supporting me to make videos, such as reacting to crash videos, in which prevent people from crashing, which in turn saves lives. ShopTuckerGott.com, Risky Business Co., you might just save a life. Or find a GoPro 9 in your order. I feel like my light's way too bright. All right, let's dive into clip number 1. This one was actually submitted to me on Instagram by a fellow named Yanan Yosefi. Apparently this clip took place in Tel Aviv. We'll talk about some details after the fact. Let's roll the clip. So this clip happens fast. Buddy's just sitting there spinning, getting line twist McGee, and he kind of almost looks like gentlefully crashes into the rocks below. The fellow that submitted this clip described this as a situation where it was the pilot's first flight and he decided to basically teach himself how to fly. He took off when the conditions were offshore and they should be onshore, meaning the winds are blowing towards the beach. Not ideal conditions, and somehow he pulled too much brake, ended up in a stall or spin situation, and then ended up just doing line twists all day long. Remember those things? I used to have one as a kid called the sit and spin. I've never seen anything quite like this, and kind of the remarkable thing is, even though Buddy's spinning around getting line twists all day long, his wing's just stable. And although it looks like his landing is relatively soft, the person that submitted this clip said he injured his back and his face. I'm not sure to what degree, but however bad it was, I hope he recovers totally fine, and hopefully he seeks some professional training and gets up in the air safely. I think this is a good time to point out the importance of training. If he attended a normal training course, he would know that the wind conditions were completely opposite of what they should be. Aside from that, whatever he did to induce this line twist situation, hopefully he would have known better had he attended proper training. Speaking of proper training, I always recommend my friends at Aviator PPG down in Lake Wales, Florida. That's where I learned how to fly. In my opinion, they're pretty much top-notch of schools in the US, and that's who I always recommend to get into the sport. I go down there often. I can vouch for them. They're awesome. Check them out. I have their link in the description. Okay, let's move on to clip number 2. And this one is a clip that was circulated around Facebook quite a bit. And this one kind of hits home because this happens on a free ride, the wing that I fly 98% of the time. So it starts out with Buddy doing some slalom-esque turns, but I'm not trying to be judgmental, but he's kind of flying a little rough. He's just kind of manhandling the wing around, and he goes for like a 360 spiral maneuver, takes a little asymmetric collapse and goes down. So what happened here is pretty apparent to me. The pilot's attempting a kind of full throttle spiral really close to the ground at the same altitude. And what I know about doing this sort of maneuver is by the time you get 360 degrees of rotation back around, you're flying through your own wake. That air is disturbed by both his propeller wash and the vortices of his wing. That's not generally a big deal, but when you're doing it really close to the ground, that weight can kind of throw you off a little bit. It doesn't normally cause a collapse like we saw here, where his left tip kind of collapsed inward. And I can't tell you exactly where his brake position was, but in general, I would say that a collapse like this shouldn't happen. I've personally flown through my own wake on the free ride of the wing in this video clip, and I've hit my wake super duper hard to the point that I get light in my seat. It's a violent sort of thing. You hit that wake and you're just like kind of bouncing out of your seat for just a split second. But what I would say is every instance where that's happened to me, I've had appropriate brake pressure on the wing. And we know that positive brake pressure prevents these deflations. You're holding your wing back from surging ahead, getting a negative angle of attack and collapsing. What I would assume from this clip is that most likely the pilot wasn't holding adequate brake pressure to be flying through his own wake and subsequently took a collapse. Flying through your own wake is something that you should not really be afraid of. Yes, you do feel a bump of turbulence, but so long as you're holding appropriate brake pressure, it should never cause a collapse. And that kind of segues us into clip number 3. Now, clip number 3 was submitted via Facebook by my man John Anderson. As we will see, John is the trike pilot in this clip, and his buddy is the one who crashed. Apparently this happened somewhere around 18 months ago. Buddy has fully recovered and he's back in the air, but we'll address his injuries after we watch the clip. So in this clip, we see a tandem trike flying towards the camera and a solo pilot flying away from the camera. What it looks like is the solo pilot turns into the path that the tandem trike had just flown upon, takes a massive collapse, and just straight up crashes into the ground. Not good at all. That looked pretty brutal. Our next perspective is like a selfie stick from the tandem trike looking backwards, and this shows precisely that the solo pilot flew directly through the wake of the tandem trike. So the third perspective we have is the first person footage from the pilot that crashed. Now, the injuries sustained here were not good at all. It looks like one of his vertebrae was completely obliterated. He had a bunch of screws and rods put in place to hold everything back together. And like I said, this crash happened months ago and the pilot has finally recovered, and he actually took his first flight back paragliding, which is super awesome. It's good to hear that he's back in the air. Just like in clip number 2, I said that you shouldn't be afraid of wake. Normally, this sort of thing doesn't really happen. And that's why I'm a little bit perplexed by this clip. I've never really seen a collapse this major from flying into someone's wake. A few things to consider. Tandem wake is generally worse because you're carrying a bigger load, a bigger wing, and you're disturbing the air more. All that said though, I still wouldn't be that scared to fly directly through tandem wake. I would take my current setup and fly that exact path that this pilot flew and not be all that scared. Just for a little background, the wing that this pilot was apparently flying is a Nova Speedmax 2. Personally, I'm not really familiar with that particular glider. Maybe you guys are, and comment down below if you know maybe certain characteristics about the glider. But from the video clip, we can see that it appears like the trim position is almost closed, maybe a few inches out trimmed. He's definitely not trimmed out, but it doesn't look like he's fully closed. Judging by the clip, you can also see that moments prior to the collapse, his left brake was just free flying. He reaches up and grabs it, which kind of leads me to believe that maybe he wasn't holding appropriate brake pressure. This is one of those things that I wasn't there, I wasn't the pilot, I didn't experience the situation. I'm just kind of interpreting what I think happened. And I would presume that if that pilot was holding higher brake pressure, kind of anticipating that he was about to fly through turbulence, he likely wouldn't have taken the collapse. But still, I'm a little bit perplexed. Even if he was hands up, it looked like the collapse he took was pretty obviously violent for the amount of, wake that was coming off of the tandem trike. This is where I want to ask you guys for some help in investigating the situation. Have you ever seen a collapse like this? A major collapse induced directly off of wake turbulence? Personally, I haven't, and that's why I'm a little bit perplexed. The main lesson here is avoid the wake if you can. In both clip number 2 and number 3, there's no reason to have to fly back through your wake, so why do it? Otherwise, be aware of it. If you're gonna fly through wake, make sure you're anticipating it, holding brake pressure as if you were about to fly through some turbulence. I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on these two situations, as well as the line twist situation. Maybe there's more info out there that I haven't seen. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you check out tuckergott.com, Risky Biscuits Co., the new designs, and you might just find a brand new GoPro 9 in your order. Hope you guys enjoyed. Till next one, fly safe, have fun, peace.